politics and public safety. That's the words of the day yesterday after Kristi Noem, the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security in the Trump administration, made a stop in Springfield, Illinois, and talked about Illinoisans who's lost their lives at the hands, allegedly, of illegal aliens in the state. I'm Greg Bishop. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. We've got tons to tackle here. Yesterday morning, I had to do the show earlier than usual because I had to be at the airport for Noem's arrival here in Springfield. She flew in by way of a U.S. Coast Guard jet to the Springfield Municipal Airport, and there were two vans of press that were screened and able to get in. So we were stuck in those vans for what felt like an eternity sometimes, but there was like a 15-vehicle motorcade or something like that. That was traipsing all throughout Springfield, from the airport to a processing facility where Kristi Noem had a face-to-face with some federal agents, and then also was able to talk to at least one of two detainees who were allegedly non-citizens being processed. I've yet to get detail on those detainees, but one reporter that was allowed into that first stop, they only let photographers in and a select few photographers in. But one of the reporters said that they heard one of them was a Guatemalan national being processed. So here we go with the first stop. Not much as far as the rest of the media being involved there, but then we're heading through downtown. We didn't know exactly where we were going. DHS officials were being very guarded with that information, security reasons. And whatnot, but there was anticipation that Noem would end up going and setting up outside the governor's mansion, downtown Springfield, and that word got out at some point the night before. And protesters said, hey, show up at the governor's mansion at around 9 o'clock. And as we saw with the AFL-CIO, they said, let's have some good trouble. And there were protesters outside the governor's mansion holding up signs saying, hands off our immigrants, and critical of the GOP and President Trump and Kristi Noem. But the motorcade ended up not going to the governor's mansion. Instead, we went to a street corner close to downtown, but a residential area, 8th and Kennedy in downtown Springfield, where they set up a news conference, and that just so happened to be the location of a murder victim being found. Somebody who was murdered allegedly by an illegal immigrant several years ago in Illinois. But here's Kristi Noem laying out the crux of why she showed up to Springfield, Illinois, to highlight Governor J.B. Pritzker's policies that she says is harming public safety.
Governors like J.B. Pritzker don't care if gangbangers, if murderers, rapists, and pedophiles roam free in his state. If they are here illegally, he's going to protect them. And for most of my career, I have fought these kinds of criminals and fought to protect my people in South Dakota, but also across the country. And that is what President Trump is focused on here today. Governor Pritzker, change your ways, protect your people, help us clean up our streets, and help us stop this violent, illegal, alien, criminal activity that's happening in your state, and your people are being so disserviced by the actions and the support that you've taken against this administration to try to work to make America safe again.
So she obviously was there with a lot of individuals. Some had their loved ones killed by illegal immigrants, or they overdosed on fentanyl that comes across the border illegally. Sharing their story. Pretty heart-wrenching hearing some of that. But why didn't we go to the governor's mansion? We instead went to 8th and Kennedy in downtown Springfield. There were no protesters there at that point. And she set up, started talking, and said why she chose that corner in downtown Springfield as the location for the news conference.
Just a couple of houses away from here, Emma Schaefer was brutally stabbed and murdered by an illegal alien who was released into the United States by the Biden administration. He had already been previously arrested for kidnapping and had been released, and then he had entered back into our country under the Biden administration to perpetuate more violence, and eventually took Emma's life. She lost her life to an illegal alien that's still out at large, probably in this state. We can't confirm that because the local law enforcement and the state law enforcement are barred by state law with the support of Governor Pritzker from sharing any information with our ICE officers or HSI officers. This is the individual who killed Emma. And I would ask you to implore your leaders here in the state to participate with us so we can bring him in before he kills someone else. He stabbed her repeatedly, over and over again. She lost her life, and her killer is still loose today.
Unclear if that alleged murderer is in the United States, in Illinois, or possibly in Mexico. But interesting, they chose that location. Noem was asked if she had talked with the Schaefer family about bringing them to this event that Noem was holding in downtown Springfield. Noem said they'd been trying to reach out to the family, but apparently some of the family were at that protest outside the governor's mansion. And then when the protesters got word where Noem was, a handful of them showed up right at the tail end of the news conference, blowing whistles, screaming expletives. One guy had a huge sign saying F, spelled all the way out, fascism. They were very, very vocal in swearing, and one even alleged that a DHS official shoved them and was trying to make a report, and people were screaming, go home, Noem. They were saying that Schaefer's family doesn't support her. And actually, here we've got a statement from the Schaefer family, essentially saying that no parent should have to experience the loss of a child, but every time her name is brought up into these conversations she would have wanted nothing to do with, we have to relive the pain of her death. Secretary Noem, as a mother still grieving the loss of a child, I beg you to stop. This is not who she was. This is not helping us. Her memory should live on in all people she touched and the causes that she fought for. And I ask all of you to remember Emma as she was and to live your life as she did with courage, courageous empathy and love for all. So the family didn't appreciate Noem using the loss of their daughter as some way to highlight the need for cracking down on violent illegal immigrants and how the state's sanctuary policies allow for somebody to be arrested when the alleged killer of Schaefer was arrested for allegedly kidnapping, but then was let go. And this is after he was in the country illegally and released back into the United States and allegedly stabbing to death Schaefer. So all of this, the protesters came over. They were pretty rowdy. We'll hear a little bit more of that in the aftermath coming up here from State Representative Adam Niemerg. But Democrats held a rally outside the Capitol with Senate President Don Harmon talking about how Noem's visit had no effect on the state's migrant sanctuary policies.
There are those who choose to use their positions to weaponize fear, to turn government agencies into engines of cruelty and hate. So many people have used that word cruelty. This is cruelty for the sake of being cruel. Instead of doing their jobs, they are dividing our country. And yet, here we are, gathered in unity. We stand together, working, dreaming, voting, winning.
So, Harmon talking about how the Democrats are unified. But as you saw behind Noem, there were a bunch of Republican state legislators standing with the Department of Homeland Security. House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch also getting in front of the crowd outside the Capitol yesterday, responding to Kristi Noem's visit.
Let's talk about a president and secretary who don't understand that due process is a constitutional right. Let's talk about legal residents of the United States forcibly removed from their homes and shipped to foreign prison camps. The dystopian vision of Illinois that Secretary Noem outlined today bore no resemblance to the communities we represent here today.
So you've got the Democrats standing steadfast, and even Governor J.B. Pritzker posting on X via his political account the issue of, the protesters outside the governor's mansion. Here is some of that post. Kristi Noem and Donald Trump's publicity stunts have no place in Illinois. Thank you to the peaceful protesters who showed up today with their megaphones and microphones to reject the Trump administration's attempts to intimidate and divide Illinoisans. We won't let them win. And just to cycle through some of these photos that the governor's political campaign, you know what, here I am. Didn't realize I had the wrong screen up. So here's Pritzker's post. And here's some of the photos. So go home, Noem. No one messes with our governor. You got, more signs. OMG, GOP, WTF. That's governor's mansion out there. And then you've got, due process is a right, not a privilege. When injustices become law, resistance becomes duty. So those are some of the photos of what the governor said were peaceful protesters. Now, I saw the protesters that showed up at the Noem event. There weren't any arrests made because, at least that I saw, DHS was rushing media back into the van so they could head us back to the airport so we can get our vehicles and get back to work. But the protesters that did show up, there were about 12 of them, very, very vocal, loud, swearing, getting into the face of legislators that were leaving, swearing at them to, get lost, essentially. State Representative Adam Niemerg was one of those that showed up, and he said that things could get dangerous, and the rhetoric that he says the Democrats are pushing is only going to make it worse. Here's Representative Niemerg yesterday from the House floor.
The opportunity to stand with Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem and honor the angel families who have suffered as a result of the illegal immigrant crisis here in the state of Illinois. It was truly touching to hear their stories, to hear their loss, and to hear why it happened. It's because of the sanctuary status policy of this state. It's because of the sanctuary city policy of Chicago that's causing this to happen. We must end these policies. I thank God that President Trump was elected, and I also thank God that Kristi Noem had the courage to come here today. But I also am very upset by the governor's comments last week inciting violence. Protesters were told Republicans should know no peace. Following this very peaceful press conference today, protesters caught up with the vehicle I was in, cursed at us, spit at us, said unspeakable things, then used their vehicle as a barricade so me and several other legislators could not get around. Thankfully, everything worked out. We were able to get through and return here safely. But somebody's going to get hurt. These policies have to end. Inciting violence is wrong. We have to return to reasonable. These are common sense measures of deporting criminal, illegal immigrants who have done unspeakable acts to the citizens of this great state. So I hope we can change these policies and make Illinois for the better. Thank you.
How this proceeds forward, especially with, feels like the election season's ramping up again with all of the rhetoric and politics that are being had on issues like this. There's a lot that's going to happen, including Governor J.B. Pritzker testifying in front of Congress in the weeks ahead about sanctuary policies. So you've got that. You've got the ongoing lawsuit that the Department of Justice has against the state of Illinois, Cook County, and Chicago over migrant sanctuary policies, the health benefits that taxpayers subsidize, how that's going to be put into the budget. Are there going to be any savings there? Are we going to continue to give money to that program? A whole host of things, all on this issue about border security and public safety, and so on. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Wake up with us each and every weekday morning here with YouTube and the Center Square. Get the newsletter at thecentersquare.com.